Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host. And today I wanted to express my condolences to the Bangladeshi people because of the crash of their training jet F-7 into a school, which killed nearly 20 people and over 100 have been injured. It's a pretty tragic event and pretty sad, and that so many lives have been lost. And it fell on a school. From the reports that I have read, I can't tell how many adults and how many children have died, but it is truly a sad development. Uh, while reflecting on this, I was wondering as to how often this happens. We are used to hearing constantly that air travel is safer than driving a car and that accidents rarely happen. But lately we've been hearing a lot of news about crashes. And so I thought I will do a little search and talk a little bit about it. But first, let me talk a little bit about this Bangladeshi plane which crashed. It's an F-7. This was a Soviet era plane. It morphed into what we call now, the Chinese call a J-7. It's not clear whether this was bought from China or it was bought from the Soviet Union. Most countries who have this, Pakistan also has some F-7s, have retired this fleet. I think the last one was made in 2013 or so. And so even the Bangladeshis were using this mostly as a training aircraft. Bangladesh has an air force of about 180 planes, 188, I think, of which about 80 to 90 are active part of their air force. The rest may be transport and other planes. The pride of Bangladeshi Air Force are MiG-29s, which I guess is their cutting edge. And F-7s that they have had are part of their old fleet, I guess, which are now being used for training pilots. The plane crashed because there was some mechanical failure. I'm surprised as to how quickly the Bangladeshi government has been able to identify the cause of that. The pilot who died in the crash, and the government is claiming that he obviously was looking for a place to crash, which would result in the least amount of casualties. So there will obviously be an inquiry, but I'm surprised that they are able to pinpoint right away that it was a mechanical failure and not pilot error, for example. It is quite possible that this plane may not have been airworthy. One of the challenges for developing countries is that imagine if you're a poor country and you have these extremely expensive MiG-29s, which are the pride of your air force, but also require a lot more attention. For maintenance, you might neglect the older planes, which you think are not important because they're not going to be part of your air defense or air assault. They are essentially there for training other pilots on how to fly, etc. So it is quite possible that there might be a neglect in maintenance, or maybe the plane have become very old. In fact, I had not heard of an F-7 until I heard about this crash. So I think once the inquiry happens, we will know. I'm most probably betting that it was too old to fly and should have been retired at least 5 to 10 years ago. But that's enough for F-7. I did take a look at South Asian air forces, and I found something very interesting. And that India has a huge air force compared to most of the countries in South Asia, close to 2,000, of which nearly 1,400 are transport and about 600 are fighter aircraft. Pakistan has about 950, of which one-third of them are fighters and the rest are support aircraft. Bangladesh has 188, and apparently majority of them are support, training and transport, etc. And they have a very small fighting fleet. I guess those are the MiG-29s. Sri Lanka has a very small fleet of transport-focused air force, but they have had a lot of accidents. And Bhutan does not have an air force, and we have no information on Afghanistan, even though it did I guess, seize some of the United States helicopters which were left behind. There have also been helicopter crashes. India has had several crashes. Flying coffins is a phrase often used for MiG-21s which have crashed. India has had, they say, like dozens and dozens of crashes in the last 20 years. In fact, there was a movie also made about this. I think it was called Rang De Basanti, in which the death of a pilot because of plane crash, because of corruption and bad equipments used for maintenance, etc., led to the death of the pilot. And so there was all of that was part of that movie called Rang De Basanti. The lead actor of that was Amir Khan. So this is not new and not new to South Asia. The Pakistani government does not reveal much about the crashes, so there's not much available to know about what crashes have happened in Pakistan because their government is not as transparent as India's. And of course, it is usually very difficult to hide if a plane crashes and kills civilians. I also looked at recent commercial planes which have crashed, and it was quite surprising, that in the last 4 or 5 years, we have seen several crashes. You saw the Ukraine International Airlines crash 752, which was shot down after takeoff from Tehran by Iranian missiles by accident. About 176 passengers were killed. If you remember, prior to that, the US had shot down an Iranian Air Force plane also. Then the Pakistani International Airlines Flight 8303 also crashed near Karachi. 97 people on the board died. And then there were others. The Chinese Eastern Airlines Flight 5735 died into a terrain and 132 passengers died. In 2023, Yeti Airlines of Nepal had a crash in Nepal, in Pokhara, Nepal, and 72 people died. And then you also saw some South Korean air flights crash. On January 29 this year, after Trump became president, we had this bizarre episode of an American Airlines flight actually colliding in midair with a Black Hawk helicopter. And all 64 people on the plane and the helicopter died. And then last month, the Air India Boeing crash in near Ahmedabad, which led to the death of 260 people plus. So we have seen a lot of crashes. I mean, the traffic is huge. There are thousands and thousands upon flights. So 5 or 6 crashes, the probability of a crash goes below 1% or less. So in that sense, we can say that, okay, air traffic is still more safer than road traffic. But nevertheless, why are we witnessing so many military and commercial crashes in recent times? In terms of military aircraft, even F-35s have crashed. There was an Su-34 that has crashed, and so on and so forth. I think there are several reasons why that is happening. One is cost cutting has become a habit with all these corporate tendencies where cost cutting has become a major global strategy for increasing profits, the huge salaries that CEOs get, and the desire to maximize profit and then use that number to raise more money from the stock market, increase the price of the stocks, and all of that business related decisions, I think, have contributed to people trying to cut corners on maintenance. But you could explain that with commercial aircraft, but for military aircraft, which are not driven by market competition, it is the country's national pride and national security which is at stake. So why don't they take care of those planes? And there, I think there is two kinds of reasons, I think, for those. One is bad governance or corruption, so in which they buy bad decisions are made on what aircraft to buy and how to maintain it or who to give the contract to maintain. And so there is an element of corruption and bribes. So governments where people who make decisions take money end up making wrong decisions. But then there is also this tendency, I think, there to cut cost. And as I said, that for a poor country like Bangladesh, which flies MiG-29s and J-5s, or F-7, sorry, uh, there may have been a temptation to focus more on taking care of the MiG-29s than taking care of the F-7s. So it's possible that that has happened. Uh, and and I think there has to be a scrutiny of the decision making and procurement decision making of the government, at least in Bangladesh, because the previous government has been accused of being very corrupt. So it is quite possible that corruption in the Sheikh Hasina government may be responsible for making Bangladeshi Air Force so vulnerable. And I would also recommend they better check on all the other planes. There are just another 187 to make sure that you don't have, if there is some flaw in maintenance or some default or defect, that you not only check on the planes but also fix the process itself of maintenance of the Air Force. Otherwise, you might have more accidents in the near future. Uh, and So that's all I have to say about this. Once again, my condolences and prayers to those who have suffered and who died in the accident. May God welcome them in heaven, and those who are in the hospitals, I hope they recover quickly. And the families who have suffered, my condolences to them, and you are in my thoughts and prayers. So thank you for watching Conversations. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtadar Khan. Take care.